I don't think there's anything that Lauren has set out to do that she hasn't achieved, and I'm very proud of everything that she's achieved through school, college, university and her business, and I'm really proud of everything that she's achieved so far. I'm sure she'll go on and achieve a lot more. And I'd say how beautiful she looked today. Equally beautiful were the bridesmaids. Thank you for all the help getting Lauren through her day. So, it was a bit fraught at the end, especially coming up the hill in the car. And obviously today's the day I get my first son-in-law, so welcome to the family, Greg. Greg's been like a member of the family for a number of years, coming on a number of family holidays when they first started going out with each other, and he's a brave man to do that. If you don't know our family holidays, it's usually a long journey, followed by 6 weeks in a mobile home, followed by another long journey. And, he's driven thousands of miles down to Spain, and he's been truly grasped it, and I've sort of admired him at times for following me down there. So I was going to give them some advice to sort of take into their marriage life, but I was reading an article a couple of weeks ago, and I've got it on me now. The person in question is a lot more qualified than me, as you'll when I read it out. Open it up. His name is Morris Kay, and he's been married for 80 years. He's 102 years old. So, and 80 years, for those of you who don't know, is oak wedding anniversary, which you think you might get something a bit more memorable for 80 years. And his advice, and like most advice for married couples, it's more aimed at the man. And he said the most useful thing is that as long as I agree with her, then I'm safe. If Greg bears that in mind, he might last 80 years. And finally, I'd just personally like to thank my wife Linda for 22 years of wonderful marriage, and also to my mum and dad for just being amazing parents. And if you can raise your glass and toast the bride and groom.
One.
That's all now. Distinguished guests, family and friends, on behalf of my wife and I,
Always a good one.
welcome once again to Catureglio. We hope you've enjoyed your day with us so far. There will be a number of toasts during my speech, so please don't down the glass in one go. Tim.
No promises.
I just want to start off by expressing how overwhelmed we both are with the turnout here. It's not exactly a half-hour drive to the other side of Chelmsford, so we just want to begin by saying thank you to each and every one of you for joining us today. I can't put into words how grateful we both are that you, and can honestly say it would not be the same without having you all here, having all of you here. I've only had half a glass of wine. Although it would have been considerably cheaper. And although the conversation would have been electric, if it had just been Lauren and I here, I fear it would have dragged a bit. So the first toast is to all of you, family and friends. I feel very honoured to be standing here in front of you all. It's quite possibly the one and only time my wife would ever let me talk on behalf of both of us again. So please bear in mind if I seem a little nervous, as I chose not to use the pre-written speech that Lauren gave me earlier. So a lot of people have asked me, why Italy? Well, ever since our first holiday together in Florence, where I like to think we truly fell in love with each other, Italy has had a special place in our hearts. Personally, for me, the main attraction over here is the sheer quantity of food they eat. Well, I'm sure Lauren would happily add to that. Since Florence, I actually started to become a little obsessed with Italy. The first time I told Lauren I loved her, I chose to say it in Italian. Then I decided to propose in Verona, and when the time came to pop the question, that too was spoken in Italian. And if that wasn't enough, I now also do Robert De Niro impression on request, which is affectionately known by my comrades as doing the face. I'd also like to say thank you to our ushers who look stunningly beautiful today, and our bridesmaids who remember to have a wash and a shave. Reverse that, sorry. What I meant to say was thank you to our beautiful bridesmaids, Louise, Emily and Stacey. I think you'll all agree look fantastic. You've helped and supported Lauren ever since we got engaged, and judging by the hen party pictures, it looked like you gave her a great send-off. And the videos. We won't speak about my videos the other night. They're explicit. And a big thank you to our ushers, Sam, John, Richard and Ryan. I'm still not convinced they know what they're actually supposed to be doing, but they do at least get to dress up in a posh suit for a day. To the bridesmaids and ushers. On to the parents. Linda and Gary, it honestly feels like I've known you both forever. I'm very honoured to call you the in-laws. I'd like to say thank you for your blessing, your hospitality and a warm welcome into your family. I do my very best to live up to your expectations, and I promise to always love and protect Lauren. Linda, thank you for the gift of your daughter, Lauren, which I'll take pleasure in unwrapping tonight. Gary, you've been like a dad to Lauren for most of her life, and I want to thank you for the love and support you've offered her during those years. It's just a pity she hasn't inherited your habit of walking around the house topless. Mum and Dad. Seriously, to say thank you doesn't really seem enough. You've put up with me for over 32 years. God only knows how, so I could not have asked for greater parents. And I hope today I've made you proud.
You certainly have.
You've loved and supported me throughout, and without you I wouldn't be who I am today. So Dad, I owe it to you that I have a firm refusal to grow up anytime soon. And Mum, I owe it to you that my nights out tend to be fairly cheap, as I'm usually half cut after a couple of drinks. So, a toast to our parents.
Yes.
Without the four of you, today probably wouldn't have been possible, so we'd just like to present you with a small token of our gratitude to show our appreciation. Yeah, we didn't get you flowers for the obvious reason they don't travel so well to places, so just something alternative. We'll put it past you. Try and get the arch in the suit. We'd also like to thank Lauren's grandparents, Don and Yvonne, and my granddad Fred, who sadly could not be with us today, for their generous contributions to help our day become reality. And as is custom in all weddings, I'd like to take a moment to think of those who could not be here today. It's not been possible for everyone we love to join us, but we know they're all with us in spirit, most certainly in our thoughts and hearts. To absent family and friends. My beautiful wife. I can't how. It's a good start. I can't put into words how good it feels to call you my wife. As you walk down the aisle, you just look absolutely stunning. And I think as many of you will agree, I'm not usually caught speechless, but that was a moment where I was. When I first saw you, you just took my breath away. An Italian painter named Carlotti defined beauty as the summation of the parts working together in such a way that nothing needed to be added, taken away or altered. And before me sits his masterpiece. Who wrote this? Seriously though, no amount of loving words can truly express how I feel about you. You know how to make me smile and you bring out the best in me. You're my soulmate, my best friend, and I just look forward to us growing old together. You've made me the most happiest man alive today. So, to my beautiful wife, Lauren.
Oh, it's lovely.
Just to give you some idea of how we met, when I first met Lauren, I remember thinking to myself, you've got no chance. But fair play to her, she kept trying. It was in a Chelmsford bar back on the 5th of March 2006. A date she has so kindly engraved on the inside of this ring here to ensure I never forget it. As soon as I set eyes on her that night, I kept thinking, I wish I could get a girl like Lauren. And now I have. You've got to be so careful what you wish for. Our home insurance premiums have gone up solely on the basis she's the clumsiest person I know. It's like seeing a giraffe in a pair of roller skates. That said, I guess you could say it's a trait we share to a degree. I greeted her by spilling half a glass of white wine down her top, which was followed by me forgetting her name at the end of the night. But somehow she was still interested. Redemption was the key, I thought to myself. So I mentally prepared for our first date. The night didn't get off to the best of starts. After being delayed on the train home from work, I got home to find there was a power cut, which meant no light and no hot water. So the best recipe, not the best recipe for taking a hot shower. So I rushed round to my mum's and got ready there. Unfortunately, in my haste to avoid being late, I got to Chelmsford and realised I'd forgotten my wallet. Towel between my legs, I greeted Lauren and courteously stated that I didn't mind if she still wanted to go for dinner. But strangely, she didn't seem too keen to pay tax for a guy she'd only known for 5 minutes. But this was a blessing in disguise, and we ended up chatting over drinks for 3 hours. So to say I'm the luckiest man alive doesn't even begin to explain how I feel. Lauren and I are a couple that have survived all the ups and downs that have been thrown at us. Most notably the close relationship that I hold with redundancy, as a lot of you know. It's like a bad habit that won't go away. These experiences have made the bond between so strong that I firmly believe is now unbreakable. Yeah. I'll shortly be handing you over to my best men. You can't get them confused because they're both called Chris. Sadly not the famous namesake rap duo of the 90s, Criss Cross, but equally as tragic with their fashion sense. Although today they've actually turned up looking almost as good as me. I'd like to say a big thank you to you both for not only helping organise proceedings, but also for arranging my stag do. I came back from it alive, just. But crucially, also both eyebrows still intact. It's interesting to point out though that they seem to believe if you amalgamate Super Mario, a crash test dummy and a giant crayon, this is the result you get. I've known them both for over 20 years and I can honestly say that they're two of the most supportive, understanding, reliable blokes I know. And with that in mind, I'd just like to offer you both a small gift to thank you. Although don't get comfortable with them, as I'll be taking them back at the end of your speech. So I just pass them over to
Changes.
For those of you that aren't aware, I was actually best man for both of them at each of their weddings. Unfortunately for me, that probably have enough cause to gain revenge, and something tells me they're not going to find that very difficult. All that's left for me to say is thank you again for helping to make this day special for us, and we hope you enjoy the rest of your evening. And just to let you know, after the dinner here, we'll be moving into the main villa for dessert, tea and coffee. And then back again for the party. So, thank you everyone.
Well done.
Oh, it's not really good.
I'm going to go behind.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. For those that you don't know, my name's Chris. My partner in crime is Chris. I'd like to start off by saying congratulations, Greg, for making it to the wedding on time. We all know your timekeeping skills. That is a huge achievement in itself. Do you remember how you somehow managed to be late for school every day, even though you lived 5 minutes ago?
Seriously though, and I'm sure everyone would agree that we're all so proud of you both today. Lauren, you look stunning, and well, Greg, you scrub up well. I'd like to thank the bridesmaids for their support to Lauren, and also for looking beautiful today. Thank you to the ushers for turning up and looking the part, and of course to both sets of parents for helping to make today happen and for all the support you have provided in the lead up to the wedding. Most importantly, a huge thanks to the best men for generally looking the best people here.
I've known Greg for over 20 years now, and we became best friends in year 6 of school. It's been a long time now, and I sometimes wondered how I ever coped with him as a friend. So I have no idea how Lauren has managed this for almost 9 years, and she's lived with him. So I would like you to please raise your glass to Lauren.
I've been friends with Greg since junior school, but we really only got to know each other when it was time to leave Mayflower School and grow up. Although our wives would dispute we've ever really grown up. We've all gone through many different phases since then, but Greg always manages to outdo us, particularly with his fashion sense. Who can forget his love of vest tops, which we did see today, beads, an eyebrow piercing, and a multitude of hairstyles, including the unforgettable hairband stage.
Right, the part I'm sure you're waiting for, stories about Greg. Yeah. Wow, there's been so many. There's been from attacked by a prostitute in Tenerife. Yeah. No one knows what happened, because Greg was on the floor and a prostitute ran away. Statue posing for 2 hours after he had extremely too much to drink. Trying to burn cockroaches with a deodorant can and lighter. And eating ceiling tiles. All grown up. One of my favourite stories was when we were 17. Having been underage drinking at the Mayflower pub in Billericay, we came across some roadworks. Greg decided to pick up a small flashing light and take off. As we started to stroll away, a police car came into view. So Greg immediately placed the flashlight under his t-shirt. Why he thought that would work is still beyond me today. But the police car did a U-turn, and the officer just said, "Put that back." Unbelievably, Greg said, "Put what back?" The police officer looked at him with total amusement and said, "The flashing light's under your t-shirt." To which Greg replied, "Oh, that flashing light." This was one of the very first moments of Greg and legendary drinking. And as you know, it has continued to this day.
I've shared rooms with Greg on many occasions, but one occasion will never, ever be forgotten. During a weekend in Mozzano, in Slovenia, on the Friday night, Greg decided he wanted to roll up and go back to the hotel. So with a little help from... Oh, shit. On the Friday night, Greg decided he wanted to be rolled up in the hotel's hallway carpet. So with a little help from friends, he was duly rolled up like a huge cigarette. The day after, on our last night, Greg went back to the hotel alone before the rest of us. When we arrived back at the hotel, we were greeted by a white haze in the hallway and some white footsteps. leading us to a certain room, mine. We never knew until that night that Greg had always wanted to be a fireman and had decided to get a little practice with a fire extinguisher. Thankfully, the hotel returned our passports, but Greg's pockets were certainly lighter. No surprise, he didn't tell Lauren about this for a long while after.
So, what advice would we give you both? Well, Lauren, I'd probably say you need to expect the unexpected. Okay? And I'm sure you probably already know he's the messiest person ever.
Greg, you should always stand your ground. Argue your point, but most importantly of all, learn to say, yes dear, you're right. Trust me, it will make your life so much easier.
On a personal note, it's been a privilege to be here today, to be a part of one of the most important and memorable days in both your lives. Greg, we have been friends for a long time, and I couldn't be happier that you have found the one you truly love. And I wish you both the best in your future happiness.
Amazing.
Bellissimo.
Yeah.
Magnificent.
Euphoric. Perfection.
Magical.
Hooray! Excellent. Next.
Calm. Beautiful.
Carbohydrate. Whoa. Pretty.
Toscana. Wonderful.
Around here. Interesting. Risotto.
Bellissimo.
That was my word.
No arguing.
Italian.
That was my second one.
Amazing. Food.
Super duper.
Bellissimo.
Great. Great.
Fantastic. Great. Fabulous.
Formidable.
Entertaining. Super.
Wunderbar.
Memorable. Cheesy.
Chanting.
Hollywood.
Harold Wood.
Italian.
Beautiful. Stunning.
Bravo. Love.
Wunderbar.
Not enough drink.
Good. Stage fright.
Awful.
Magic.
Shocking.
Magnificent.
Supercalifragilisticexpialidocious.
Can do the rest.
Fabulous.
Memorable. Sensational.
Far too much work for one photographer. Thank you.